All right, welcome to another episode here. Today we're going to take a look at the Peloton stock. So I'll give you some thoughts and insight here on this. And keep in mind, it's not a recommendation. It's just my own personal thoughts and opinions. And if you want to grab that opinion, you can do so on our Discord channel, which the link is in the description below. You can also get some great insight on some tickers that I post periodically as we have movements. Okay, so as we look into this, basically Peloton replaces the CEO and they're laying off, or in other words, 2,800 people will lose their jobs. And this is great news for the stock. Now, it's kind of weird, right? It's like, hey, a lot of people are going to lose their job and it's great news. Well, usually the reason why the stock market likes it, right? Because stock market works for the company. It looks for making money for its shareholders. And the reason they like this is because, let's say you got 2,800 people and let's say they're making $50 an hour. You know, I don't know what the average hourly rate at Peloton is, but let's just say you've got $50 an hour and you got 2,800 employees there making a bunch of that. It increases costs quite a lot. So what they're doing is they're cutting a ton of jobs because they grew very quickly. And that'll help reduce their expenses. So the market really likes that. And obviously new CEO is kind of a fresh kind of thing. And then also the stock itself has been down quite a bit. So right now, as we kind of get into it, you can see this movement up about 30%. So that's huge. Now I wouldn't go chasing it right here. Why? Because we've got earnings coming out very quickly. But if you were planning to get into the stock anyway, you know, some idea to consider is you could nibble like 10 shares here before earnings, but you know, it's already coming out tomorrow. So, or within the next, 24 hours. And if you're looking for the stock to get back into maybe $100 price level or something like that, and you're worried that it might hop to $50 or $70 a share, you could just get some exposure of, let's say, 10 shares. And then if you were aiming for 100 shares, that's just basically a 10% exposure, right? Because it could still come back down to 25, right? Some people say, oh, it's never coming down. But look, I mean, it was way up here. It still came down. So it's still possible it'll come back down a little bit. But if you're trying to not miss the move, you could get 10 shares out of your 100 share position, building out a little position before earnings. That way you're not missing out. And then you'll see what happens. Now, I would watch some of these other price levels very closely, that if it does get into those levels, you could have a little bit of trouble or resistance in those levels. But right now, getting into this $20 price point, the stock was starting to get into the oversold territory as well. So you can see the IPO as we opened way back here. You know, you can see it basically came right down into it. Now, we still have a ton of selling pressure. There's also a lot of overhead supply. That basically just means a lot of people at upper levels that are just trying to get out for that stock to go back higher. They're kind of just stuck in those positions waiting for that stock to go, and then later they'll dump it because they're probably sick and tired of being in that stock for a while. So be careful in those cases. But other than that, right now, the stock is making some good moves. I just would be careful that we don't get too far extended to where you get the pullback. So I don't want to chase it. And not to mention with earnings just coming out very soon, there's no reason to get into it unless you really think it's going to pop to, let's say, $60. And then you could get, 10% of your normal position and see what happens. Like if you're not exposed. But if you look at kind of the expected move, even on this expected move, we're looking to pop about $8. Okay. So, pop or drop about $8. So that also means that if we go into something like this, this $9 move that we're having right now, it could go another, let's say $8. So let's say we're at 40 now and we go about $9. So that could bring that stock to 50. And then if we look at it, down from 40, and let's say we go down about $9. So now we're down to $31. So it can go to about 31 or kind of 50. That's kind of what we're looking at. So basically 30 to 50 is kind of where it could range, but it could also just kind of stay around that area where it is and not really do a lot of movement because a lot of the movement's already baking in maybe. So anyways, that's kind of my thoughts on this, is just watch out for earnings. You got earnings just right around the corner. But as for the movement, where can you expect that stock to go? You also have this gap area in the 60s. So yeah, of course it could pop. And if you're really concerned, 10%, maybe 5% if you're really cautious, you could nibble a little bit. You don't have to go full out, especially before earnings. It's really a little bit more dangerous to do that. And then if you're really expecting that stock to go later into the 100, you didn't miss anything. One day is it going to make or break it? So you're looking for repeatable, longer term trends usually to making it happen. So be patient with the movements here. This is up like 30% right now in today. And chasing could be one of the bigger problems here that a lot of people will experience, because it could burn you if it starts pulling back. because here you got 1 or 2 days that are really looking good. And then if it just starts rolling over again, not saying go that far, but rolling over, that could freak people out. So start slow, maybe more of a nibble rather than getting too aggressive in it, because you're really looking for maybe a nice trend like that. And if you can capture a trend like that, that would be a bigger win. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me. Hope you got some good insight here, and I'll see you in the next video. And if you want to join the Discord server, check the link in the description. Get on our mailing list so you also get notified when we have new classes coming out. And not to mention, check out the Traders Fly channel for option trades, ideas, strategies, concepts, tips, and techniques. I'll see you next time.